Big WNBA Finals Game 2 coming up on Wednesday night between the Aces and the Liberty as New York fell to Las Vegas in Game 1. So it's time to preview Game 2, and we're going to do it with two of the best in the business, the founder of Girls Talk Sports TV and WNBA insider Khristina Williams, and the Liberty beat reporter for Winsider, co-host of Pull Up with Myles and Owen, my guy Myles Erlich. Both of them join me now. Khristina to your left in Vegas, Myles here in New York. Guys, how's it going?
It's going good. The weather's super great here in Vegas, so.
I'm good.
Yeah,
That's good. You enjoying the good
Vegas
weather?
Here.
Not as warm in Vegas as you know here, Myles. And Myles, I got to say congratulations to you. Just got married. Hope you had a great wedding. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready to lock back in on the finals. Only missed one game.
Only missed one game. DNP for Myles on Sunday, and Khristina had a DNP for those keeping attendance, but she's generally always there. Khristina, I'm going to start with you. We're going to start by talking about the Liberty's perimeter defense. It was not good at all on Sunday as the Vegas guards torched Sabrina Ionescu and Courtney Vandersloot. I would expect the Aces to try to target those two guards again in Game 2. So what adjustments do the Liberty need to make defensively on Wednesday night?
Yeah, Dexter. So coming into this series, I had mentioned that was one thing that the Liberty have been trying to work on all season long, how to utilize their guards on the perimeter for defense. And we saw what happened in Game 1 of this series between Aces and Liberty. As you mentioned, they got torched. I think that in order for the Liberty to have somewhat of a fight in this series, they have to make the necessary adjustments, and that starts with putting some of your best defenders on that perimeter. I think that if the Liberty can give Kayla Thornton, more of those minutes to be over Sloot to be able to guard that perimeter, it'll definitely help that New York Liberty defense a lot. And also, I think Maureen Johannes did a pretty good job in the first half of that game as well. And so just figuring out their rotations in terms of the roster and really focusing on that perimeter by putting some of your best defensive players at the top of the defense. And we said last week, Myles and I, about how the Liberty focused on deep zone sets as well. So maybe they do that again in some spurts and just have some of their best defenders on the perimeter.
We saw the Liberty use a little bit of a zone late in Game 1. It'll be interesting to see if they do that again in Game 2 and if they try to go with larger lineups to throw at the Las Vegas guards there. Myles, I want to ask you about the Liberty shooting because it was a poor shooting second half in Game 1 for the Liberty. Which players do you think need to get going offensively for New York in Game 2?
This was a very interesting way for me to absorb this game, having first seen the box score, missing completely. I was completely, like you said, a DNP on Sunday. So I read the box score first and then got to watch the game to see how things went. And I was surprised to see that there weren't as many coverage changes in the second half in slowing Jonquel Jones because she was a dominant force in the first 20 minutes of this game. She basically almost hit that double-double at halftime. She had 12 and 9 at half, but finished with just 4 and 1 in the second half. But it was just because New York was not as intentional about going to her. So I think that JJ, who now has a WNBA record 7 straight double-doubles to start the postseason, she's got to be a bigger part. And the other player is Betnijah Laney. She finished with 11 points on 5 of 8 shooting, but that means that she just hasn't shot the ball enough. In their 5 wins this postseason, Betnijah is averaging 19.8 points on 52.6% shooting and knocking down 2.8 threes per game. In their 2 losses, she's averaging just 7 points on 35.3% shooting. So I think that that's really where it is. B needs to be involved because she is just a difference maker for them. And I think that everything gets easier once Betnijah's cutting, once she's getting to the mid-range, when she's hitting those corner threes. So getting her more involved really just loosens the pressure off of everybody else because we know that Breanna Stewart's going to draw a lot of attention. We know that Sabrina Ionescu is going to draw a lot of attention. Same thing also to differing levels with Courtney Vandersloot, who definitely struggled with her shot throughout that entire game. And I just want to see her be a little bit more confident. But it really does start with both Jonquel Jones and Betnijah Laney.
Now, we'll see if the Liberty can get both of those players more involved consistently on the offensive end in Game 2. All right, this one is for you both. I'm going to start with you, Khristina. What are the keys to the Liberty getting a win in Game 2 and heading back home to Brooklyn with the series knotted at a game apiece? What do they need to do?
Well, first off, I feel like Sabrina, she needs to find her spots, especially at that three-point line. She struggled in Game 1 to do so. And then also Courtney Vandersloot, her and Sabrina were 12 of 18 missed shots from the floor. They have to clean that up. In the second half, the Aces were able to score 16 points off of 11 New York Liberty turnovers. Jackie Young really gave them hell on that perimeter. They were able to turn their defense into offense, the Aces. So the Liberty just have to clean up and take care of the ball. That's the key to a victory in game 2.
There you go. Ball security is going to be important. What about you, Myles? What does this team need to do to even this series up at a game apiece coming back home?
The Aces have so many weapons, and we saw that on full display in game 1. I don't even think you have to say that New York needs to stop everybody, but they need to stop somebody. There are 4 players on this team that are difference makers, and all of them really showed out in game 1. So Jackie Young, like Khristina said, was phenomenal. Kelsey Plum had her strongest game against the Liberty all season long. It's almost like every time we see them play, whatever Brianna Stewart does, Asia Wilson's going to cancel out. So the 2 of them, but then also Chelsea Gray. We know that Chelsea Gray is a problem. I think if you take away one of them, if you can put your focus onto making sure that, you can't stop everyone, you kind of have to pick your poison. But if you can slow one of those players, this game is all of a sudden a lot more attainable, because it was still, yes, the final score, losing by 17 is pretty bad, but this was a very close game for the first 30 minutes.
Yep, and we will see. Taking care of the ball, also doing a better job in the defensive end seems to be 2 of the keys that'll be necessary for the Liberty to come back home with this series tied at a game apiece. We will all be watching. That is Khristina Williams. You see her to my left, the founder of Girls Talk Sports TV, the great WNBA insider, and also Myles Erlich, the great Liberty beat reporter for Winsider, also host of Pull Up with Myles and Owen. Guys, always, always, always good to talk WNBA hoops with you. Enjoy the game too.
Thanks, Dex.
Yes.